Regulation D placed limits on cash withdrawals from bank accounts. So clients took to U.S. securities and subtracted $2.3 billion from Bank of America, sparking concerns over the next move that points to a high probability that U.S. banks will restrict cash withdrawals in an attempt to stop a run on the banks. Cash fleeing the system, the fragile mental construct of a faith-based financial system built on lies and fractional reserves from completely falling apart. Similar to how Twitter experienced a meltdown last night as the next likely president of the United States, Governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, overloaded Twitter Spaces servers with the flood of support that tuned in to the most truthful and transparent social media platform that doesn't take orders from the liberal left woke maniacs and will likely overthrow YouTube in the near future. God, it feels good to be an American. Smash that like button if you agree. Now, I received an email this morning with an offer to apply for a new credit card. The subject line read, "Apply today for a new card with a $700 credit limit." Now, immediately, I laughed out loud and I almost scared Michelle half to death with the beast-like roar that I belted out after reading this ridiculous email subject line. But then it dawned on me, this is real. Not so much the credit card offer or the company that I never heard of before in my life, but the simple fact that there are some folks out there who could really use a credit card with such a low limit or simply have access to borrow $700. Which is why now is no better time than ever to cash in and collect on the money available from Facebook. Now, you can submit a claim in just a couple of minutes for a piece of the massive $725 million Facebook settlement. And that's because Meta, Facebook's parent company, they have agreed to settle the class action lawsuit, which claims that the social media network allowed users' personal data to be shared with third parties. The most famous being Cambridge Analytica, a consulting firm that supported Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign. So, $1 million sum will ultimately be divided up by the amount of users who submit a claim before the funds hit your bank account. The amount that each person gets will vary based on the length of time that they had a Facebook account, but an expert told Nexstar that he anticipated the higher end of payments might be in the triple digits. So that's going to be nearly $1,000, folks. And there's more, even more money available from the social media giants on a reoccurring and almost passive income structure, make money while you sleep style basis. Get direct deposits into your bank account or Chime account simply by doing the things that you already do now. Instead, now you can get paid for doing things like posting pics, videos, and comments. It takes just 60 seconds, and that is 1 minute. 1 minute to find easy and simple lazy income and work from home remote work jobs that can be done from your smartphone or iPad or laptop, computer, or Chromebook. Online social media jobs that pay $25 to $50 an hour. No experience required. Work at home, set your own hours. Click the link in the description and take a super fast and easy 1 minute quiz to find out what type of social media job that you are best suited to start making big dollars simply and easily. Now, a bunch of other people have already begun doing it and have gotten paid. What are you waiting for? Why haven't you done it already? That's $175 a day for replying to comments on Facebook. Now, I have another fantastic option for you to consider as an alternative to traditional remote working. So please take a few moments to click the link in the description, and as I suspect, you will not regret it. You can now earn a substantial income with the simple and trustworthy use of social media. All that's needed is your smartphone and access to the internet. It's so straightforward that you can do the job while on the go, just requiring access to the internet plus your cell phone. Secondly, it has been growing in popularity across the country as lots of people find it irresistible, and they have received a huge number of requests every single day. But lastly, because of its widespread acceptance, they are quickly running out of open spots. Don't delay. So take advantage of opportunities like these while they last. That's $175 a day for replying to comments on Facebook. I'll pin the link down below in the description for you so you can find it quickly and easily and go ahead and get started. Times are tough and money's tight, which should be all the more reason to cast your vote and to remove Joe from office if you want any chance at survival and to dig yourself out of this mess. Ron DeSantis last night on Twitter said that he is running for president of the United States of America to lead our great American comeback, fielding questions and focused closely to culture war topics that are expected to resonate with conservative voters ahead of what's likely to be a brutal primary. DeSantis said that he wanted to revisit the government's response to COVID, in particular mask mandates and school closings. He pushed back on claims about book bans while touting his work to ban the teaching of ideas related to critical race theory and even discuss Bitcoin regulation. DeSantis also touched on what is shaping up to be a thorny issue for his campaign, which is Disney. He defended his ongoing battle with the media and entertainment giant, claiming that the company obviously supported injecting gender ideology in elementary school and that he had to draw a bright line. And Dana Loesch, who is now a radio host and former spokesperson for the National Rifle Association, the NRA, who said she planned to vote for DeSantis, asked DeSantis about pushing back on gun control efforts after federal court deals massive blow to the ATF pistol brace rule ahead of gun accessory registration deadline. After gun rights groups argue ATF lacks the authority to force millions of gun owners to register their weapons equipped with stabilizing braces, a federal appeals court has temporarily blocked the Biden administration from fully enforcing new regulations on pistols with stabilizing braces, gun accessories that President Biden has called especially dangerous after they were used in several mass shootings. And that's just completely ridiculous. I mean, you got to think about it. Pistol braces is the cause for these mass shootings? Highly unlikely, folks. And harm can be done in a variety of ways, but this is all propaganda. It's their agenda. It's their push. It's further division, but also trying to disarm and make most of the country, if not all, extremely vulnerable to things like this happening from deranged individuals who need to be looked at closely from a mental health standpoint, more so than some plastic accessory and a Velcro strap. I mean, realistically, you would think that the culprit here, the target, would be the ammunition, the rounds. I don't think that the pistol brace itself actually inflicted any harm on anyone, or could, unless you got hit upside the head with it. This is stupid, and here's why. So the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals on Tuesday enjoined the ATF, or the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, from enforcing its new rule against gun owners and Second Amendment groups who filed a lawsuit challenging the regulation. The temporary injunction comes days before a deadline for individuals to register their pistol braces with the ATF, destroy them, or remove the accessories from their weapons. Those that do not comply with the regulation by May 31 will be forced to pay a fee, or worse. The consequences for those that choose not to register their firearm with the stabilizing brace and keep it include up to 10 years imprisonment or a $10,000 fine, or both, according to the ATF. Gun rights groups have argued in court that the stabilizing brace rule violates the Constitution by requiring millions of gun owners to register their weapons. The Firearms Policy Coalition, the FPC, one of the plaintiffs in the case, has called the rule erroneous and unconstitutional. FPC brought the case to the Fifth Circuit after appealing a lower court order from a Texas judge who declined to block enforcement of the rule while the challenge proceeds through court. This is just more of the liberal, radical, left-wing, Democrat bullshit, but thankfully it is being met with fierce opposition and it looks like it can be stopped. These guns and pistol stabilizer braces are the cause for people losing their lives, just as much as the self-inflicted harm is as a result of the damaging consequences of gender ideology and mind-altering, hormone-suppressing, and physically mutilating procedures that are to millions of young children and young adults who continue to be confused and tricked, brainwashed by the media, whom are led by mentally deranged politicians and physicians, all solely focused on their own greed, financial gain, and increased power. Now, if you thought that Pfizer made a killing on the jabs forced onto you at the hand of the left, because honestly, we all know that Trump would have never let that happen. Just wait until you see how much money there's to be made in this transgender racket. You want to make money investing? Buy the dip and get in now. That fucked up shit's gonna be going to the moon and will make a lot of folks rich in the process, while destroying the lives of those who fall victims and fall for the scams. Just saying, watch your six. So a little more than 3 years ago, the Federal Reserve removed the withdrawal limitations that banks had to enforce on savings accounts, but since then, few banks have changed their policies in response. Many high-yield savings accounts and money market accounts still have some restrictions on the number of withdrawals or transfers that can be made. And up until April 24, 2020, Regulation D limited account holders to a maximum of 6 convenient withdrawals and transfers from a savings deposit account per statement cycle. Savings and money market accounts are considered savings deposit accounts too, in case you guys were wondering. Before the restrictions were lifted, unlimited withdrawals from an ATM or bank teller were permitted from savings deposit accounts, but convenient withdrawals such as via check or transferring money electronically from a savings deposit account to another account were in fact limited. Now, Ally Bank imposes a limit of 6 withdrawals per statement cycle, and this is according to their own website. But the online-only bank is temporarily refunding the $10 fee it charges for excess withdrawals and isn't imposing transaction limits due to Regulation D changes. KeyBank and their Key Active Saver account limits the number of withdrawals or transfers to 7 a month, after which they will apply a $5 fee. Union Bank offers unlimited transfers and withdrawals, and US Bank, the Minneapolis-based bank, has no transaction limits and charges no fees for savings withdrawals. Among the findings, Bank Rates review of top banks and credit unions showed that Huntington Bank charges $2 for excess transactions, while BMO Harris, KeyBank, Truist, and Zions Bank all charge a $15 fee on at least one of their savings deposit accounts. 2 reasons many banks still limit savings withdrawals and transfers are that, number one, it's optional for banks. They're not required to change their limits, and banks were able to suspend the 6 transfer limit, but they weren't required to, which is likely the main reason some banks haven't changed their limits on transfers or withdrawals. And number 2, it's not a final rule. The removal of limits on withdrawals and transfers from savings deposits was an interim final rule, and banks are still waiting for the final piece, meaning that they're still waiting for a final ruling to be issued by the Fed before they actually implement changes, which is according to the Vice President of Legal at the Wisconsin Bankers Association, Heather McKinnon. These bank limits on cash withdrawals and restrictions might be good for encouraging savings, and some savers may benefit from having withdrawal and transfer limits on savings deposit accounts, with only about 43% of Americans being able to pay a $1,000 emergency bill from savings, according to Bank Rate survey published in January. Knowing that withdrawals are limited may prevent some savers from withdrawing or transferring funds too frequently, helping to keep their savings intact for times when they truly need it, like now. But this may all be a moot point, because according to macro guru Hugh Hendry, the probability that U.S. banks will restrict cash withdrawals is rising like mercury, as the U.S. banking system is experiencing the lingering turmoil in the financial sector. And the hedge fund manager says the Fed's tight monetary policy has increased the probability that banking customers could one day face restrictions on the amount of cash that they can pull out. Hugh calls it the Fed folly. One can say factually that this Fed hiking is the fastest and of the greatest magnitude. They have never done this before. We no longer live in an environment where it seems prudent to have all of your money in the banking system, and certainly not congregated around one lender. Although blanket limits on bank withdrawals are unknown in the US, and such restrictions were implemented in Greece and Cyprus during the debt crisis of the mid-2010s. Don't believe me? Go look it up. At a time where the average annual percentage yield APY for savings accounts stands at 0.25%, meanwhile, money market funds offer as high as 4.75% APY, closer to the Federal Reserve's 5% or 5.25% benchmark rate. Cash withdrawal limits are currently in place in Nigeria, where individuals are allowed to withdraw 20,000 naira, worth only about $43 per week. Leaders in the economically troubled nation say that the move is designed to pull cash out of the system ahead of a planned move to a fully digital economy, CBDC. And Hendry says America's banking industry will likely witness further deposit flight, as we now live in a world where a customer can pull out their funds with the press of a button. He also points out that the Fed's rate hikes over the past year have created an environment that makes it attractive for depositors to take their money out of the banks and invest it in money market funds. A combination of being stuck with these very uncompetitive rates and now the tyranny that money can just fly so quickly. And he implies that the thing that's pulling money out of the bank is, in fact, that the Fed's offering too much money via money markets. I mean, you could go to the Fed directly. So what's the Fed going to do? It's encouraging more and more and more money to leave the banks. before they introduced digital currency, which is quite possibly why Bank of America clients withdrew $2.3 billion from U.S. securities, as Brian Moynihan saw his bank record their biggest real estate outflows since 2021. And data compiled by Bank of America showed clients sold both single stocks and ETFs for the second consecutive week, while selling was broad-based across client groups, including institutional, hedge funds, retail, and size segments. Amid concerns over commercial real estate, the bank recorded the biggest real estate outflows since mid-2021. Meanwhile, exchange-traded funds, ETFs, posted their biggest outflows since January across all styles, including growth, value, and blend, and across small, mid, and large cap ETFs. Simply put, the banks are hemorrhaging. The consumer is weakening and confidence is at an all-time low, raising the big question, how will all these people survive until November 5th, 2024? And if they do, did they vote for more of this pain to continue for another 4 more years? For more info on getting paid through online jobs, making money using social media, or just gaining access to funding, credit, or cash advance, make sure you check out the links down in the description below. Thank you guys for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, turn on notifications. You guys take care, be safe, have an amazing and fantastic day, and I'll see you real soon.